Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Friends Sit Down. And this is your host, Landon Cox. And I'm here with special guest,
Ariana Mosley,
and we'll be talking about,
performance anxiety.
and it's promotion time.
SGA is hosting a Hawaiian themed bowling night on April 1st at the Crown Lane Bowling Alley. Make sure to come out and dress up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into our topic. So, Ariana Mosley, basically, have you ever experienced, like, in your college, basketball games, have you ever experienced a performance anxiety?
Yes, I have. On my first game, I was very nervous to messing up or doing anything bad because it was my first game and I did not want to disappoint.
Honestly, I completely understand that. I've been there, done that, same thing. It's kind of just like, I'll say, like, the reason why it dives into like a mental health situation, because that can really, it affects your performance anxiety, will affect your actual performance, and then after, you're so mentally just drained,
Drained.
exactly, from what's going on. So I would ask another question, Ari. So, do you have any, like, coping mechanisms you have, or is just you're just nervous and you can't really control it?
Usually I'm just nervous, but then I can't control it. But sometimes once the game is going on and I'm like, okay, this is fine, then I'm doing fine. And yeah,
Okay, okay. I would say the same for me. It's kind of like I really struggle with, you know, kind of controlling it, because like, I've gotten a lot better, but I used to be to the point where, like, my freshman year, I was sitting here crying. Like, I would really cry before my races. We're talking about almost throwing up, gagging, like, generally just because I just could not control it. And then I would go out there and perform absolutely terrible, and then my mental would be drained. I wouldn't, I just, the whole experience was bad, and then it would just make the whole sport, kind of like, I would be drained and mentally drained to even go and compete, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, wow, like, I know how my day's about to be, because before I run, I'm about to be, like, just so jacked up and sad.
me too. Usually before I do stuff like that, I have bad headaches. Like when you said you want to throw up, I get really bad headaches and I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do, but then I take an aspirin and my headache goes away and I'm fine and I know everything is fine. But yes, I do perform bad when I have it.
And, like, I would say, like, if you're, like, listening and, like, you're a college athlete, like, these are things, like, you don't want to do. Like, please, if you can find a way to, you know get past these things, find them, coping mechanisms. Ask your coach, ask a sports therapist, ask some friends, breathing techniques and stuff like that, because definitely you don't want to sit there and ruin whatever you're doing, like your meet, your performance, whatever sport you play, because at the end of the day, you know, you came to your school for a reason to do that, and you don't want to sit there and train all for a long time just to go out there and mess up, all because you're just so, you know
Nervous and scared.
exactly. And, like, a lot of people struggle with performance anxiety. Like I said, I'm a big advocate for it, because I struggle with it somewhat to this day. I've gotten a lot better, but it's definitely becoming a problem.
Yes, I understand that. Me too. Because like sometimes for my coping mechanism, I usually pray before the game, pray that my nerves will just calm down, I won't be anxious, and it usually works. But sometimes the nerves just like get out of hand, and I get really nervous. Sometimes I will have a panic attack. It just depends what kind of game it is.
That's what exactly what you said. Depends on what it is too, because sometimes there's people who they're chill out the whole season, and then as soon as it gets to, like, a big conference game or nationals or, like, a tournament, that's when they tend to freak out and flip out and, have problems. And that's when it just turns into something that it doesn't need to be. And that's when it's like, that's why I said it's messing with your mental on and off the court. And on the other, and like I said before, you're wasting your training and doing all that. And this is coming from someone that does it. Like, I can admit sometimes I've wasted some training because simply because my performance anxiety, like I'll sit there and pace before race and stuff like that. So I definitely have mechanisms of me, I tend to inhale 3, hold. I mean, inhale for 10, hold for 5, exhale for 10, and just keep doing that as well. Or like I don't like to really talk to my friends before my races because I know they're nervous too. So I just try to keep myself busy, drink some water, tell myself I'm okay. Even before like the race, like the week leading up to your race, your event, your performance, you want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do and telling yourself at practice like, hey, I don't want to get to that place, I don't want to be there, so let me do what I need to do to get what I need to get done.
Yes, I completely understand that. Because my whole thing is I'm scared to disappoint people around me and being like making it being my fault. If something does like bad does happen, like if we lose a game, I feel like it would be my fault, and then that's when the nervousness comes in, the anxiety, because I just don't want anybody to blame me for losing something.
And that also does play a factor in why a lot of people, because some people don't even have performance anxiety about themselves, they have a performance anxiety of, like, especially people who play a team sport and not individual sport, they have a fear of letting the coach down or teammates down. And that's when you say, you just have to kind of be more confident in yourself and your teammates and know, hey, if I do mess up, my teammates won't, you know rip all over me or something like that. And that goes hand in hand with, just making sure your environment
It's
is
good.
exactly, because you don't want to mess up, but you also don't want teammates that are gonna um
Blame you for your mistakes, even though they are your mistakes, but they shouldn't be blaming you and on you about it. They should be uplifting and saying it's okay, like you shouldn't worry about it, like next play, that part. But if you do have teammates that are like hounding you about your mistakes, then maybe you should tell them you're not a good teammate and maybe you should focus on yourself.
exactly, like, and that's why I say it's a little bit different, and there's different aspects to it, because people like me who play individual sport and then like might do a relay, I don't really have to worry about, you know like you're a basketball player worrying about teammates worrying about my performance, because first of all, how are you getting mad at me because I did bad? But if you now it's on a relay, okay, I can understand that, and that's when you just have a conversation. But for you, there's many aspects of performance anxiety, um but that's like you just said, sometimes if it's best for your mental health, if you have teammates doing things like that or coaches or anything like that, focus on yourself. You rather sit there and focus on yourself and work on your own things and what you need to get done than go back and forth with people and worrying about how they feel about you.
Yes, completely agree with that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a promotion. So, SJ will be hosting a spring fling on April 8th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. in Tonganoxie, Kansas. If you're 21 years and older and you have your ID, you can drink and have some alcohol at the bar. But all USM students in plus ones are allowed at the date. I mean, allowed to the dance, and you're allowed to come show out. The theme is a night in Vegas. Please dress appropriate, but please come dressed to impress and have fun. I can't wait to see you guys there. So, all right, to close out, basically, um, do you have any like final words to tell any athletes with performance anxiety?
Yes. I say if you have performance anxiety, you need to find coping good coping mechanisms so you don't mess up, because when you have that, then you will mess up. But if you do have a good coping mechanism, then you won't mess up instead of just being in your head.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, first we want to thank Ariana Mosley for coming and being a guest on the show tonight.
Of course.
And we can't wait to see you guys for next week's episode. Bye.